All right, so it is February 20th here, and I'm with Dawn, and we're just going to kind of hash about what's going on in the market, what she's seeing. So, you being in the business and doing what you do, what are you kind of seeing out there?
Well, I think to my surprise, probably to a lot of other people's surprise too, I'm actually seeing a what I would consider fairly stable market. Um, yeah, interest rates are a little bit higher, and I've been having that conversation with people, but I definitely am finding that I have very serious sellers,
Hmm.
very serious buyers. I don't feel that chaos of trying to put deals back together that were falling apart last year. Um, Personally, the activity level has been, I'm very pleased with what the activity level has been so far this year. So,
Well, yeah,
it's
because you got what, a couple million in the pipe right now, already closed?
yeah, and I didn't expect it, but the other part is, I will say this, and I'm sure everybody's feeling the same thing, but I am
Hmm.
grinding for every deal. Like, I'm prospecting probably more now than ever. I am in touch with my sphere, and that has been a huge difference for me. I've always been in touch with my sphere, but I think now I'm having to tell them, hey, I know you guys are scared about the market. Listen, it is actually very different than what people are saying. Because I think a lot of people are scared. And then once I'm meeting with people, I just literally left a listing appointment a little while ago. And I had to tell them, hey, sooner rather than later, because we got low inventory. You have the option to capture the market right now before you have all this competition. So you really need to take advantage of this. And I hate to have it feel like a pressure sale, but it's
Hmm.
important that they know the reality, because I don't know what April, May, June are going to bring as far as inventory goes. But right now, homes are selling. So it's worth them getting it on sooner and not having to deal with all that competition.
Oh, absolutely. And you said you're making more calls now than you probably normally have. So, how many calls on average are you making on a daily basis?
So I continuously am making calls. I'm probably talking to. So having
Hmm.
conversations, whether, and I'll say some of them are probably text if I'm, if it's like a client that I know works or whatever, but probably at least touching base with 15 to 20 people a day that I'm physically talking to or texting with. That
Okay.
has resulted in, like, just this week alone, I have 3 listing appointments in February. Not normal, I'll say that. I'm not going to say this is every year. That'd be great, but it's really just it's a whole re-education.
Hmm.
So it's been pretty important to stay in front of them, re-educate them. The first question I'm getting asked on almost every point: what are the interest rates at right now? And then I have to go through let's look back historically 8, 10 years ago. Don't
Yep.
look at the last 2, 3 years. Those are false. Those are not real numbers. And then people are kind of like, they don't want to believe me. They're kind of like, that's
Yeah,
not
of
true. But then
course.
they're like, yeah, she's right. That's not the norm. So, it's just a re-education. That's what this market's all about now.
Oh, yeah. And I've hit on this a bunch of times, but if you zoom out and really look at the last 50 years, right? Interest rates are right around that 7, 8%. So what we're seeing now is still below average. In the grand scheme of things, yeah, it seems high. But the other thing I wanted you to touch on, and we want to touch on, is we really have this small window of opportunity right now for sellers to get a jump start on their competition when it comes to spring. So the numbers just came out for real comp last week, and I sent out the report. But if we look at it, month supply of inventory between March and really June, July, because we look at, spring market, April, May.
Right.
Once we hit April, month supply of inventory increases by almost 20%.
Wow.
So year over year, inventory is up between January and February in the single digits. It caps at like 8%. But then once we get to April, May, June, it's up 20%, 25%, and 35.7%.
I mean, it's true. I literally, when I left this appointment, when I was just talking to this woman and her husband, and when I sat down with them originally, the conversation, well, when I talked to them earlier last week, the conversation was, we're ready to list this week. Then when I got there, the story changed a little bit, and that's okay. We really need a list by the end of March.
Mm.
And I had to do the reality check.
Yeah,
And
right.
I said, you told me this is the number that you want. This is the time frame you want it in. And you want to do it with no competition. Like you want multiple offers on your home. That's what they told me.
Yep.
I can't guarantee anything ever, but I can definitely tell you that your chances go down tremendously for all of that by waiting until the end of March, beginning of April. You need to move your timeline up. If these goals are going to stay intact with what you really want, you've got to move that timeline up to the first week of March. So I was able to secure them for that. But the goal is, if we are talking to our sellers and educating them about that, it's not a sales pitch. It's the reality, and you're not doing them a service if you're not telling them that. So it's just it's really important to have that conversation.
And that's it right there, right? Because if you're not doing that, you're putting your sellers in a position to where they're going to be at a disadvantage when it comes springtime. Because like we just said, everyone and their brother puts their home on the market once we get into the spring months, April,
Right.
May, and now they're at a disadvantage. They have more competition, which ultimately may mean they sell for a lower price.
Right. And the same thing with your buyers. You don't know what the interest rates are going to do. You also don't know are we going to get into this crazy competitive? I mean, we don't know. So if you tell your buyers, just wait, there's going to be a ton more coming on in the spring, and there probably will be. But what else is going to happen in the spring that's going to affect what they could possibly be getting? So it's just important to educate them. For my clients, the way I've kind of been approaching it is I literally will text or call those clients probably at least once a week. The people that I know are active, that are really, I'm like, hey, just wanted to give you an update. I know now we're moving into the last week of February, or it's just, you have to stay on them. And I know sometimes it feels like, oh, I'm just pushing these people, but it's the only way that you're doing them. And eventually they're either going to thank you or regret not listening to you. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So the message we want to get out to you guys today is, one, study the market, be aware of what's going on, look at real comp, look at the stats, but as well as make sure you're hitting your sellers and your buyers to make them aware of what's going on in the market and how you can place them ahead of their competition. So those people that are on the fence, it's better off they make a chance and make a decision now as opposed to waiting, because it may end up costing them something.
Right. Because you can't go back. So,
No.
And I tell my clients as well, we will not know until we're live. I mean, I can speculate all day long, but when we're live, I can work on occupancy time. I can work on, even the time that it might take for a deal to close, but I can't move time back once you have all this competition and things going on. So to me, it's actually been, I would consider, like I said, a strong but stable market so far.
Absolutely, and that presents opportunity to the people who have the highest skill set and have been working the business and going out there and getting it, which means opportunity. So any last thoughts or anything you want to wrap up with?
No, I just say, it's time to get out there. There's no reason for us to not be maximizing this time. The agents that are really pushing, they're the ones that are going to rise to the top, and that's what we're trying to get everybody here to do. So I think it's a great opportunity right now, for sure.
Absolutely, you just got to take advantage of it. Right,
Yep.
just like anything else.
So
that's the message we want to get out to you guys. You hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got some good value out of it, and be on the lookout for some more.